Hearing that the Animaniacs show was making a comeback, everyone was excited, but one person who was nervous as can be was Brain. Since starring in the show back in the 90s, he's been keeping a secret throughout the years, that him and Pinky were in a relationship. Yeah, no surprise you could see it from space, but still, whenever he did interviews, he would deny it, just telling everyone that they're just good friends, who live in the same house and do everything together every day, but still, he wouldn't admit it, and he made Pinky promise he wouldn't tell anyone either. One day, the whole cast was going to be on a talk show, and everybody was in their dressing rooms getting ready. Brain quickly shut the door to the room that him and Pinky were sharing, and he was looking around, seeing if there were any hidden mics or cameras. While doing this, Pinky wanted to know what he was doing.
Look, Pinky, I know you want to tell the whole world about us, but I don't. And I have good reasons why. Look.
He pulled out his phone, showing the famous toons who thought it would be a good idea to come out, but had just ended their careers forever. And with them being as popular as Bugs Bunny, who knows what would happen.
But Brian, it's 2019. You don't have to worry about that anymore. I mean, look at all the many gay tunes that are on the Cartoon Network.
Yes, but look what happened to gay tunes on the Disney Channel. I mean, I understand you're tired of hiding. I'm tired too. But I'm doing this for the both of us. Not just me. Please, don't do anything crazy today. Yes, but look what happened to gay tunes on the Disney Channel. I mean, I understand you're tired of hiding, and I'm tired too. But I'm doing this for the both of us, not just me. Please, don't do anything crazy today.
Okay, Brian, I won't.
It was now time for the taping. The audience went crazy when every character came out one by one. First, it was the Flavio and Marita, then Mindy and Buttons, then the Good Feathers, and so on, until it was time for the Warner siblings and Pinky and the Brain. Everyone screamed so loud when they walked in that the whole room almost went deaf. As the host started asking questions, Brain out of nowhere spaced out, remembering life in the 90s and auditioning for the show where he met Pinky. And at first, he couldn't stand him and wanted to quit. But due to the contract he signed, he had to stay. After years of doing the show, his co-star started to grow on him. And when they would hang out and get to know one another, something seemed to click. And they weren't the only ones to know. When the paparazzi saw how they would act with each other, they knew they had a story. When the tabloids were put out, horrible lies were spread about them, saying that they would do inappropriate things on set together. And as if things couldn't get worse, the sweet fan letters turned into death threats, leaving the studio worried on what they were going to do. I mean, the Pinky and the Brain show was a hit, but for what they were reading, they had no choice but to rewrite it. When the Pinky, Elmira, and the Brain show was set, Brain hated coming to work. When it came to the original show, it had a good message about following your dreams, no matter how crazy they were. But now the show was just moronic. And what was even sadder is that his character was now being hunted by the government, leaving him to remember the nightmare that he was already living. Brain needed to talk to someone about this, and he knew just the toon. In the middle of a trailer park stood one home that was beaten up terribly, like the owner had abandoned it for 100 years. But surprisingly, he was still living there, just too lazy to fix it up. He was on the couch sleeping until he heard a knock at the door, and, not being fully awake, he didn't notice who it was.
Excuse me. Are you Ren Hoek?
Oh, for God's sake! For the last time, I didn't know what was going on in the studio. Now leave me alone!
Before slamming the door, Brain stopped him, telling him he didn't work with the press. He just needed to talk to someone who shared the same problems he had. After hearing that, the asthma hound Chihuahua let him in. After telling him his story, Ren sat there, nodding his head, knowing a story like that all too well.
Listen, when our creator wanted to do that show for Spike TV, we laid down some rules for signing over, but that was thrown all out the window. We wanted our relationship to be real, not a joke. Then one thing led to another. We had no choice but to break up.
Do you miss him?
Oh God, yes! There are times I wish I could meet up with him again and we could start over. But after all what's happened, it's just a painful reminder. But you and Pinky, you have nothing to hold you back. And the world is changing and opening up more, or take what you can.
As Brain was deep in thought, remembering that moment, he snapped out of it when he heard someone calling his name.
I'm sorry. What was the question?
I asked what your favorite memory was working on the show.
Favorite memory?
The little mouse got nervous. He looked at the audience, and then his cast members, and then the camera that was pointed directly at him. But then, he remembered again what Ren had told him. So he looked Pinky right in his eyes, with a look that said, "I'll do anything for you, but I'm tired of hiding." And so, Brain took a deep breath and said,
Yes, I do have a favorite memory. It was the day I met Pinky. I mean, at first, when we started working together, I didn't get along with him so well. But after getting to know each other, it led to something else. The love of my life.
At the end of his sentence, everyone in the room had different reactions. Some were happy, some were angry, and some just held their breath, wanting to know where this was going.
Pinky!
Brain tried to keep it together, hoping this wasn't all for nothing. He pulled out a small box from his back pocket. It looked like he had had it for a while, seeing as there was some dust on it. He then got on his knee and opened it up. What was inside was a beautiful diamond ring that sparkled like crazy. He took another deep breath and asked the question.
Pinky, will you do the honor of being my husband?
Tears started to flow from his eyes. Pinky had waited for this day for years. He was starting to think it wouldn't ever happen.
I'm right? Yes! Yes, I will marry you!
Pinky picked up his love and spun him around. The audience cheered, leaving Brain so happy that the weight on his shoulders he had held for so long had finally been lifted. After the news broke, people went online and shared what they felt. Some were good, some were bad, and some did what they could to get the reboot canceled just for this, but the studio rolled their eyes and ignored them. After all these years of going along a roller coaster of them just wanting to be together, but they didn't think it would happen because they would lose everything and go their separate ways, never to be happy again because of cruel people. But, like an old friend said, the world is changing. People are finally opening up, leaving the outcasts to finally have their own voices. And now, two little mice can have everything they've ever wanted without secrets.